Hi everyone. Here we will be discussing about the fourth module of basic electronics. In this lecture, we will be studying the feedback amplifiers, oscillators, and criteria for oscillation and some of the types of oscillators. Myself, Deepashri AP, MTech in Digital Electronics. So this is the syllabus of the fourth module. Feedback amplifiers. Voltage or the current output is fed back to the input through a modifying network which determines magnitude and the phase. Feedback. What is the meaning of this feedback? A portion of the output is fed back to the input. That is a feedback. So in what way we are providing, either voltage is fed back or current is fed back, either it is in phase or out of phase, it all depends. What type? Depends on what type of feedback. The feedback center opposes the input, that is negative feedback, or aids the input, means positive feedback. These are the main two types, that is negative feedback and the positive feedback. Now coming to the types of the feedback, there are so many, four types mainly, that is voltage series, voltage shunt, current series, current shunt. By looking into the figure, this is the voltage series feedback. It is also known as series parallel feedback, and the feedback is negative in this case. And here, by looking into this, we can write this Vi equal to V in, input given, that is V in, plus minus, and this is minus plus. So it is minus beta V naught. So total input at the amplifier will be V in minus beta V naught. Now output VO is given by A into VI, that is amplifier gain into the input at the amplifier, that is A into VI equal to A into V, substituting for VI this one, so I will get A into V in minus A beta V naught. Reorganizing, we will get with the feedback as VO by V in equal to AF, that is gain with feedback, which is equal to A divided by 1 plus A beta, that is AF equal to 1 by beta. That is, the feedback is independent of amplifier gain A. Thus, all distortions like amplitude, frequency distortions do not appear in AF. Any variation in a magnitude of A does not appear in AF, which means AF has high gain stability, as the cost of this improvement is paid in terms of reduced gain, which can be made up. Gain and bandwidth of the feedback amplifier. That is, the negative feedback reduces the amplifier gain. So the one thing we have to compromise in case of negative feedback is when we choose negative feedback, the gain reduces, but the bandwidth can be improved. As per the general principle, it should increases its bandwidth. If at all gain is reduced, we will get the increase in bandwidth. In case of RC coupled amplifiers, the gain reduces at low frequency and high frequency ends. So beta A naught is no longer much more than unity. The percentage reduction in gain is less at the two frequency ends compared to the midband. The reduction in gain and increase in bandwidth of the feedback amplifier is shown in this figure. So this is the first case, that is with the gain without the feedback. that is gain without the feedback. Here gain with the feedback. So here we can see gain is reduced with the feedback, and always we choose a point cutoff frequency, that is lower and upper cutoff frequency 0.707 of the maximum gain. So when if I draw a line at 0.707, I will get two cutoff frequency f1 and f2. So this will be the bandwidth, that is bandwidth lies between f1 and f2 of gain without feedback amplifier. That will be the bandwidth. And in the second case, the gain is reduced. If at all gain is reduced, if I choose a point 0.707 of this maximum gain, if I draw the line here and mark down the upper and lower cutoff frequencies, that is f1f and f2f. So here we can see the bandwidth is from this point to this point. So if at all gain is reduced, the bandwidth has been increased. We can observe that in this figure, effect of A naught and bandwidth of the negative feedback. That is gain stability with feedback. AF equal to A divided by 1 plus A beta. Differentiation of the above equation leads to dAF by AF, which is equal to 1 by 1 plus A beta dA by A, which I can rewrite dAF by AF equal to 1 by A beta dA by A, for beta A is very much greater than 1. This shows that the relative change in dA by A in the basic amplifier gain is reduced by a factor A beta in the relative change in dAF by AF in overall gain of the feedback amplifier. Condition for oscillation. To the schematic for the negative feedback amplifier without any input is shown here. The gain of the amplifier, that is VO divided by VO bar divided by V in bar, which is equal to A bar, that is A bar by 1 plus A bar beta bar, where beta bar is adjusted such that A bar beta bar is equal to -1, which is equal to 1 less than -180 degree. The gain tends to become infinity for mode A bar beta bar slightly more than unity. The circuit becomes self-oscillatory with no input, that is when V is equal to 0. The condition A bar beta bar equal to -1 is known as Barkhausen criteria for the oscillation. By looking into the figure, let us say that with no input, A bar beta bar, angle A bar beta bar equal to 180 degree, the polarity of VF bar reverses and the feedback becomes positive. If the switch S is closed, a small voltage will begin to build up. The oscillation increases in amplitude till steady condition are reached with non-sinusoidal oscillations due to saturation. So here we can see the non-oscillation build-up with phase reversal of feedback voltage, that is non-sinusoidal oscillations, because A bar beta bar is not exactly 1. This is the internal noise and steady state envelope limited by the circuit saturation, non-sinusoidal waveform due to saturation. Here it is not exactly, that is non-sinusoidal oscillation, because A bar beta bar is not exactly 1. in practical oscillator circuit, the amplifier gain will be negative constant at oscillation frequency. For oscillation to occur, angle A bar beta bar should be equal to minus 180 degree and mode A bar beta bar should be greater than 1. So to oscillation to occur, it should satisfy these two conditions, like angle A bar beta bar should be equal to minus 180 degree and the mode A bar beta bar should be greater than 1. Then the oscillation will occur in the circuit. Classification of oscillators. Based on the operating principle, it is classified as negative resistance effect oscillator, feedback oscillator. Based on the waveform, it is classified as sinusoidal oscillator, relaxation oscillator. Based on the frequency generation, it is classified as AF, RF, UHF, microwave oscillators. And according to the circuit employed, it is classified as RC and LC oscillators. Under this, let us see RC phase shift oscillator. So here we can see the RC phase shift network. This is the RC phase shift network. Phase shift is achieved by this RC network. Because of loading effect, 3 RC stages are needed as shown in the figure here. Here we can see phase shift oscillator circuit using op-amp. And the frequency of oscillation is given by omega 0 equal to 1 by RC root 6 and beta of omega naught is equal to minus 1 by 29, that is 180 degree phase shift. For oscillation to occur, beta dash should be greater than 1 by 29. Frequency of oscillation omega 0 is given by 1 by RC root 6 and A equal to minus RF by R, the gain of the amplifier. Since the input is given to the inverting terminal, the gain of inverting amplifier is minus RF by R. So A beta dash equal to minus 1 by 29 into minus RF by, see here we can see that A beta dash equal to minus 1 by 29, that is gain, into beta complement equal minus RF by, that is beta is minus 1 by 29 and this is the gain minus RF by R1. So I can say that my RF by 29R should be greater than 1 by amount of 5%, that is RF should be greater than 29R. Next is Wien bridge oscillator. Here we can see a bridge circuit, 2 RC combination and R1 and R2 form the bridge. That is, here we can see 2 RC circuit, one RC and another RC, and other 2 resistors form a bridge circuit here, and from that the input is given to the op-amp. The op-amp output is connected as the bridge input. See, the output of the op-amp is connected to the input of the bridge here. One other point is grounded. The bridge circuit output at point B and D is the provide negative and positive inputs to the op-amp. B provides negative input to the op-amp and D provides the positive input to the op-amp, and the output signal is connected to the point A and C is grounded here. So here, neglecting the loading effects of op-amp input and output impedances, the analysis of the bridge circuit results in, so for the simplicity of the calculations, we equate R1 equal to R2 equal to R and C1 equal to C2 equal to C. And the frequency of oscillation of the circuit F naught is equal to 1 by 2 pi root R1 C1 R2 C2. This will be the frequency of oscillation of the circuit. Now equating R1 R2 to R and C1 C2 to C. Forward gain at inverting terminal, that is gain of the inverting terminal, we know that 1 plus R3 by R4. Feedback gain at non-inverting terminal, beta equal to V naught by V in, which is equal to Z2 divided by Z1 plus Z2. For oscillation, Barkhausen criteria, that is A beta should be equal to -1 or 1 plus R2 by R4 into Z2 divided by Z1 plus Z2 should be equal to 1. That is Z1 equal to R plus 1 by J omega C. Z is impedance, so it is notated in the complex format, that is R plus J omega C. 1 by J omega C, because it is a impedance of the capacitor. And Z2 equal to 2 divided by 1 by R plus J omega C. So I can write it as 1 plus J omega RC divided by J omega C. So Z2 becomes R divided by 1 plus J omega C R. Substituting 1, and we can write omega equal to omega 0 equal to 1 by RC. We get the condition 1 by 3 into 1 plus R3 by R4 equal to 1, or R3 equal to 2R4. The frequency of oscillation in them, that is F naught equal to 1 by 2 pi root RC. So I can F naught equal to 1 by 2 pi root R1 C1 R2 C2. So Z1 equal to 1 plus 1 by J omega C. So I can, rewriting that, I can write 1 plus J omega RC divided by J omega C. So 1 plus J divided by J omega C. In the same way, R2 equal to R parallel with 1 by J omega C. Impedance of Z2, that is from D to C it is. So that can be written as J omega RC divided by R plus 1 by J omega C. By rewriting that, I can write it as minus omega RC omega C divided by 1 plus J. That is minus omega C divided by 1 plus J. So Z2 divided by 1 plus Z1 plus Z2. By substituting the values whatever obtained here and here in this, I can rewrite it in this way, and then finally solving that, I will get R2 by R1. The 555 timer IC. It is a 8-pin IC. It comprises of 2 op-amp comparator set at 2 by 3 VCC and 1 by 3 VCC respectively. A 3 resistor circuits to obtain the voltage 2 by 3 VCC and 1 by 3 VCC to set the comparator. The comparator output set or reset by using the flip-flop which feeds the output state. The flip-flop operates as RS flip-flop is used. In this RS flip-flop, when R equal to 1, output will be reset to 0, and R equal to 0, output, that is when S equal to 1, the output will be set. The flip-flop also operates a transistor which, even when driven low, discharges a timing capacitor. We can see the internal diagram. This is the internal diagram of 555 IC. So here we can see it has one comparator 1, comparator 2, and the one input of this comparator is 2 by 3 VCC. Other input, the one input of this comparator, it is 1 by 3 VCC. here trigger input it is provided. The output of this two comparator is given to the flip-flop S and R input of flip-flop. If S input is high, the output will be set to 1. If this input is high, then output will be 0. The output, this is the amplifier, output stage power amplifier, and the flip-flop also operates a transistor which, when driven low, discharges a timing capacitor. So it discharges a timing capacitor when the flip-flop is driven low. Next is about the astable operation. So here we can see the astable circuit using 555 timer IC. The corresponding waveform is shown here. The main application of 555 timer IC is as a stable multivibrator or a clock circuit. It shows a stable circuit built using two external resistor and a capacitor which sets the timing in intervals of the input. The capacitor begins to charge from the DC source VCC when the voltage of the threshold pin 6 tends to increase beyond 2/3 VCC. The voltage at this pin 6, when it increases beyond 2/3 VCC, this capacitor starts to charge through this DC source. The comparator 1 saturates, that is as per the internal diagram what we seen in the previous slide. So in that we had two comparators. So comparator 1 saturates and its output triggers the flip-flop. So the output at pin 3, so output at this pin 3, it goes low. At the same time the transistor becomes on, causing the output at pin 7 to discharge the capacitor through R2. So at the same time the transistor becomes on, causing the output at the pin 7 to discharge through R2. It discharges through R2 and the time constant tau 2 equal to R2C. As the capacitor voltage which is triggered input at pin 2 falls below 1/3 VCC, the comparator 2 output causes the flip-flop to reset. See, it charges till 2/3 VCC and then discharging of the capacitor through R2 occurs when it discharges, and when it reaches 1/3 VCC. So what it happens, the comparator 2 output causes the flip-flop to reset. The output at pin 3, that is at this point, becomes high and the transistor goes off. The capacitor now begins to charge through R1 and R2. So when the output is high, the transistor goes off and the capacitor starts charging through R1 and R2. And the time constant tau 1 equal to R1 plus R2 into C. The process then repeats continuously. The output waveform on the capacitor charging and discharging is seen here. That is the T high and T low period, and charging and discharging of the capacitor we can see here. Charging is R1 plus R2 into C and discharging is R2 into C. Time constant. T high and T low are the two periods. That is the oscillation period, total T equal to T high plus T low, and I can write the oscillation frequency F equal to 1/T. That is, it can be equated to 1.44 divided by R1 plus 2 R2 into C, because T high equal to 0.7 R1 plus R2 into C, and T low is 0.7 R2 into C. Now duty cycle I can write it as T high divided by T high plus T low, which is equal to R1 plus R2 divided by R1 plus 2R2, which is equal to R1 plus R2 divided by R1 plus 2R2, which is less than the 50%. So deviation of charging and discharging time. We see voltage across the capacitor at T1 equal to 2 by 3 VCC e raised to minus T1 by tau 1, which is equal to 1 by 3 VCC, and so 2 e raised to minus T1 by tau 1 equal to 1. If I cancel here, 3 gets cancelled. Already VCC gets cancelled. So remaining 2 raised to minus T1 by tau 1 equal to 1. So ln 2 minus T1 by tau 1 equal to 0, or T1 equal to tau 1 ln 2. So in this way we can find T1. In the same way, charging Vc of T equal to VCC plus A e raised to minus T by tau 2. Vc of T2 equal to VCC plus A e raised to minus T2 by tau 2, which is equal to 1 by 3 VCC. So A equal to minus 2 by 3 VCC. That is Vc of T2 equal to VCC minus 2 by 3 VCC e raised to minus T2 by tau 2, which is equal to 2 by 3 VCC. Now 1 minus 2 by 3 VCC e raised to minus T2 by tau 2 equal to 2 by 3. By equating and cancelling, we will get 2 e raised to minus T2 by tau 2 equal to 1. So T2 equal to tau 2 ln 2. Please refer my blog for the notes and PPTs. Explore Electronics. The path for the blog is given. Please do subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for the updates. Thank you. Keep watching.